Hello everyone, this is Luca, Crystal Healing. Today I want to talk about something that I believe is going to trigger some of the people watching this video. If it does, obviously it's up to you whether you go and work with it or as your choice. But anyway, I feel that it's time for me to try and explain some of my truth with regards of what a lot of people see as a constant battle in the world, which for me is really interesting because ultimately it always refers back to a battle within ourselves. So yes, so that's something that I want to talk about. I've got some cards here as well which I want to use to try and get my point across, and hopefully that's going to help. But the question that for me I wanted to put out there and hopefully get some of the views as well of the people watching this video is, has the light already won? Has the light already won? I think we've got different people answering this question from different perspectives, and I think it's important to understand that and look at them from both sides. So on one end we've got people that say absolutely not, because we might see people still fighting, we might still see in the school certain things pushed to children. You might see certain people still going for some medical procedures that have been quite controversial, and I won't go into detail to that, but I'm sure many people know what I'm referring to. So a lot of people, and you see conflict between nations and things like that. So for a lot of people, they might see that and say, absolutely not, absolutely not. And I would put those people, if I was to put a card that describes that energy to me, because of the way that the response comes, and again, that's my interpretation, it's my truth, is this card here. And I'll explain in a minute why. Okay, my point of view when I look at cards, there are no bad cards. Every single card has got a meaning, and is for us to understand that meaning and work with that meaning. There is there's nothing bad about it. It's just what it is. It just means that we need to focus on something specific. Okay, and then on the other side we've got people that say, yes, the light has won, we're just watching a movie, we're sitting back, we're eating popcorn, or whatever expression a lot of people use, and we're just waiting for all of this to go down and is collapsing, which it really is. But these kind of phrases to me suggest that we sit back and relax and just let it all happen, which might lead to some lessons later on. But anyway, I'll go into that in a second. For me, the card that represents that energy is this one here. Okay. It happens to be the Fool, but in no way I'm saying people are fools. This is just the name of the card. Okay, but you see this person here that is sort of about to walk off the cliff. That again, that's my view on this. Okay, so I start with, and then I've got some other cards that I'll get to in a minute, but I just wanted to start and analyze why I feel the way I do, and what we can take from each point of view. Okay, because they're both really valid. Both of them are 100% valid, and from the point of view of the person making that answer, giving us that answer, they are correct. I'm not saying that either are wrong. From their point of view, they are 100% correct. But what I want to do is try and analyze the emotions and exactly where we are in that moment, so that we can then help move on from that point of view. Okay, so if I just go to the first one here, right? So what you can see here is there's a person who is kind of like split into pieces. Okay, whilst that might seem a little bit, I don't know, frightening to look at, For me, that is what I see from an energetic point of view, when people are sort of worrying about so many different things, and their energy is not whole, is split. So and every time we've got that, we can't really focus ourselves truly into our path, which is why some of these things are happening in the first place, because they get us away from our path by virtue of distracting us and getting us fragmented. We are unable to put all our focus and energies into what we're truly here to do, which is why I've picked that card. So one piece of this, you might say, is okay, two countries in conflict, and there's going to be one thing that they're gonna throw up in the sky, and then it's gonna fall, make a mushroom shape cloud, and that's it. So that will bring us into fear, will bring us into worry, and then those energies keep our vibration low, which means that again we are struggling to have enough energy for ourselves, have enough focus for ourselves. So that could be one example. Or another one of these fragments might be there's not enough food for any of us. Shelves are empty in supermarkets. It could be that this is coming, that is coming. So again, that's another worry, is another bit of fear. Okay, so the point is, and the reason why I was saying that there are no bad cards, is because I truly believe that it's so important for us to understand those fragments one at a time. Yeah, which is why when we realize that there's something that we feel is draining our energy, which is what each single one of these would do, we need to take a step back and look at that objectively. For instance, if I was to do this myself, okay, so I'll take the first example of the cloud, mushroom shaped cloud that I made. Okay, so if I look at that within myself, and I truly believe that my path is the path I am walking every day, and I go in full trust and faith that I'm exactly in the right place I need to be for the work I came here to do, then it doesn't matter what news you get. It doesn't matter, because I know that if I wasn't right here, right now, I would be in I would only be here if I am in the right place. Therefore, if there was a threat of some form, I would be somehow, by my higher guidance, by my guides, and those that are here protecting me, would let me know, and that will be the time for me to move. But if I'm here, if I'm walking my path every day and trusting myself, then I know I am safe. Therefore, I can let go of that worry. Okay? And as I do that, and as I work on that part, on that fragment, imagine that turns from something heavy and somehow, sort of a darker color, into a bright, shiny part of me, part of this person. And we turn that, and that becomes shining, beautiful and strong. And that allows us to put another piece of the puzzle for our own path, and building on that in a positive way, so turning that around. So it's really important that for people that feel like that in those situations, they've got a massive opportunity to work on themselves and integrate every single one of them. And let's take, for example, the other example I made with not enough food on the shelf. Excellent. That, this is obviously what is happening in some cases, or certain foods are being pushed. Then it is down to us to take action and responsibility, and we say, how can I change that? So you might want to go and see your local farm and talk to them and support them and get to know them, and look for other people that are facing the same challenges, or grow your own food if you can. So from that, you turn that into a positive, into through your sovereignty and standing in your power, you then turn that as an opportunity to do something that is going to make you stronger. Okay, and again, turning that segment, that fragment of that person from a from that what I was describing, to a bright piece of the puzzle that is like shining light. And that light is not only felt within yourself, is then radiating out to places we can't even comprehend, but is going out so far. So that's why I think it's important to work on ourselves and understand why we feel those emotions, and then work on them. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so the other point of view, okay, where we sit back, watch, there's people that are taking actions and we just need to wait. And you might get news where they say, oh, in 2 weeks this will happen, in a month this is happening. They give you dates. Every time there's expectation, in my experience, every time there's expectation of other people doing something, for me, historically for me, in the last 3 years, for instance, there's been loads of cases of that. It tends to be a trap, in the sense that if these things don't happen as they're promised, then we generally have an up and then a down as soon as it doesn't happen. And we feel, well, it's very much like this. It's very much like this person not looking perhaps what's ahead of them, not having a grounded perspective, yeah, and then they end up going down into lowering their energy, because they kind of fluctuate between this and then that after the event. Okay, so they would say, oh, nothing ever changes, we're never gonna win and all of that, but then they go back into this state if something else gets announced that sort of brings them back there, and then until we learn that we need to have a grounded perspective, and it's not a linear perspective, it's a multi-dimensional perspective where we understand how things play out in a certain way. So, but this offers the opportunity, just like this one, for integration and growth, which is why they're so important. I'm not saying that these are bad, I'm saying that these are really, really important, and you will see once I get to the other two cards in a second. So, as I was saying, we need to have a grounded approach. For instance, if we say that the skies are being sprayed, there's things falling from the skies, okay? There's things with wings made of metal that go across the sky, and they release things in the air, and these things, let's just say, as an example here, not good for us. If we were to say that actually the good guys are putting inside those metal things that fly good things instead, and then we're all cured, that, from my point of view, is an ungrounded approach, because really I personally feel that wouldn't happen that way, but that's my personal opinion, okay? So I personally think we need to have a grounded approach, and that means we take actions to understand what is happening and why, and we go back to our inner guidance and really ask and try and seek the answers. How does this situation feel? Do I feel that really that's what could happen? Am I just wanting to hear that, or is that truly what I feel is happening? And I think when we look at it from that point of view, and we honestly get to the root cause as to why we might want to feel that emotion, as in we really truly want to believe that they are pretty nice things, we might find the answer we didn't want to hear. But that, again, that's an opportunity for expansion within ourselves. Okay, so that's why I say these two are actually part of a journey, the journey of ascension, they're absolutely essential, because through integration of both, we can then move on and bring into balance. But we have to understand both points of view, because like I said, this is not linear, this is multidimensional. So when we then go and integrate both of these, we then find a middle ground. And for me, that middle ground is very much reflected into this card. Okay, so you see things on either side. For me, these are like, in my view, they're like lessons, things that we've learned, things that we've experienced, because through learning experience, that's how we can then activate that part of ourselves that is often described as a column of light, our pillar of light, okay, through our own activations, through our own inner work. And that's what then shoots us up into different points of view, unity and multidimensional understanding. Okay, you see that shining really, really strong. So as I was saying, as we integrate all these parts of ourselves, we then become so bright, we become so whole, that we start shining, and we make ripples everywhere. So as another card that for me represents, and it goes very much, if I just put all three here, okay, so you see this card here where we're fragmented and split, and then through our own integration of both, this is what we get. This is what we get. We get this, where we are shining, we are united within ourselves. Okay? So I find this absolutely beautiful, because you see this person has their eyes shut, and when I see that, I always see someone going in full trust. But not just that, they're fully conscious of their own inner strength, and you can see that. Yeah? So what happens is, as from my point of view, my understanding, as we're working to integrate both sides, we then move into union within ourselves. Yes? And then that union within ourselves is pure flow. We have integrated all these parts, we're now following our path, and our path is clear, and we feel that we're going with the flow. There is no resistance, because all these things that were holding us back and creating that feeling of resistance, we're working on them, and we're one by one integrating them, and then all that's left is like a river with no obstacles. The water just flows, and that's what you can really see. It's like a river of light that just flows. And very often for me, that feels like what people describe as the 0 point. The 0 point as in pure manifestation, where you've integrated, let's say there's not enough food on the shelf, fantastic. I work on that, and I integrate it, and then I take steps to make that solution manifest, i.e. I go and make my grow my own food. So you're going into flow, you're going into integration, and then you manifest through your thoughts and actions what you want to manifest. And for me, that's 0 point. Is that point in between those two extremes, and that's sitting right there. But what happens is, as we're going through ascension on our own personal journey, we kind of move between a 0 point, which is a natural point of pure manifestation, like I said. We might shift to this, then we might integrate it, then shift to that, integrate it, yes. And as we do that, we are becoming, obviously, our vibrations rising, we're becoming stronger and stronger, more ourselves, we're getting closer and closer to our higher self, yes. And that's how a lot of people say, what I believe, I feel that, you know, when people say we're time travelers, we multidimensional, shifting all the time. And that's why we're doing this left and right. But if we're working ourselves and integrating it, we are shifting so quick that that becomes almost like second nature. And as we experience it, we integrate, and then again we're becoming stronger and stronger. So yes, this card, absolutely beautiful. I want to just I wanted to keep this as quick as possible because I know if it gets too long people switch off, but hopefully that's got the point across. If people got any questions or comments, you know, I'm 100% happy to answer this, but I just wanted to finish saying that, you know, the challenges we're facing now, they are gonna continue, because there are still things that people need to work through, and humanity needs to work through as a collective in order to get to where we need to get to. So I think, in answer to the question, has the light already won? I personally believe that yes, it has, but we need to take the steps together collectively, and that starts with our own thoughts and actions. So when we think about someone else doing it for us, we're giving that power away. So I personally prefer to work on these situations, integrate them, and then really turn this around myself. So ultimately, the person that we're waiting for is ourselves. It truly is. The person we're waiting for is only ourselves. And on that note, I'm gonna close here and send lots of love and light to all of you, and thank you for listening. Bye.